Ever get totally stuck trying to install some new software? You know, like stuck in that pit of error messages and you just want to give up?
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Or how about this? You're standing in the tech aisle staring at a wall of cables, like utterly confused.
Been there, done that.
Too many times.
And then you finally flag down an employee and they like magically know exactly what you need and how to get it working.
The best feeling.
Right. That's kind of the world we're diving into today, the surprisingly complex role of a computer software and multimedia shop manager.
A role that definitely doesn't get enough credit. It sounds pretty straightforward, but once you dig into these RoleCatcher guides, you realize it takes way more than just knowing how to work a cash register.
So let's dig in. What does it actually take to be a computer software and multimedia shop manager these days? What do they actually do all day? Well, the RoleCatcher guide breaks it down. The what they do section talks about things like leadership, strategic thinking, team development, even creating a good customer experience.
So less about stocking shelves, more about orchestrating this whole experience for the customer.
Totally. And I think it reflects a bigger trend we're seeing in retail. You need more than just product knowledge. You've got to connect with people, figure out what they need, even if they don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, that totally reminds me of this one time I was trying to buy headphones. The staff were amazing. They were asking me about what kind of music I liked, what I was looking for in headphones. I mean, they really took the time to understand what I wanted.
See, that's a great shop manager. Anticipating needs, offering solutions, maybe even recommending something the customer didn't even know existed.
Right. Like, hey, you need this cool new music app. You'll love it. It makes a huge difference.
Exactly. It builds loyalty, which is
Yeah.
huge these days with so many options.
Okay, so back to the skills needed. What's the guide say? I see administration and management, sales, even education and training. That's a lot.
It really is. You've got the hard skills, the technical side, but then the soft skills, managing people, training new hires, dealing with, those interesting customer interactions.
It's like being a mini CEO of your own tech department.
Mm.
And speaking of climbing the ladder, it looks like the guide even maps out the career path. It goes from shop assistant all the way up to senior shop manager.
Yeah, and it gives you really specific examples at each level, which is super helpful if you're actually considering this as a career.
Like, here's what you're expected to do as a senior shop assistant versus a shop manager, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It shows you the steps, the skills you need to move up.
Okay, but let's back up for a second. Before we're managing anyone, we've got to actually land the job. And these days, that means dealing with those AI recruiters, right?
Oh, yeah. Those are becoming more and more common. And honestly, they can be a little intimidating.
Totally. Like, how do you even prepare for that?
Well, RoleCatcher actually has some really good advice on that. They talk about how important it is to tailor your CV for those AI systems.
Meaning what? Like using specific keywords or something?
Exactly. It's about understanding how those algorithms work so you can get your resume seen by an actual person.
That makes sense. But what about the actual interview? Those can be nerve-wracking enough without a computer judging your every word.
Well, get this. RoleCatcher has a whole section on interview prep. They have, are you ready for this? Over 120,000 potential interview questions.
120,000. Seriously, that's like a lifetime's worth of interview questions.
It's crazy, but it gets better. They even have AI-powered feedback on your answers, which is like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Okay, that's amazing. I need that AI coach. Sign me up. But before we dive into interview prep, let's get back to the career progression thing. What does leadership look like at that top level, the senior shop manager?
Well, one thing that really stood out to me was the focus on mentorship. Even at that senior level, they're expected to be coaching and developing their team.
So it's not just about telling people what to do, it's about helping them grow too.
Absolutely. It's about empowering your team, which ultimately benefits everyone.
Which honestly makes a lot of sense. Like, you want everyone on your team to be awesome, so that reflects well on you too.
Right. It creates a much more positive and engaging environment for everyone. And speaking of everyone being on the same page, remember how we talked about that staying updated thing being so crucial in this field? Well, that doesn't just apply to the shop manager, right?
Oh, right. The whole team needs to be in the loop on the latest tech.
For sure. Imagine a customer walks in super pumped about some new VR headset.
Yeah.
Now, it's not enough for the team to just, know the specs. They need to be able to talk about compatible software, troubleshoot any issues, maybe even recommend some cool immersive experiences.
So they're not just selling a headset, they're selling a whole VR experience.
Totally. And that requires everyone to be constantly learning and sharing knowledge.
And that takes serious confidence, not just in your own knowledge, but in your team's ability to handle whatever comes their way.
You got it. And that's something I really like about RoleCatcher's approach, actually. They don't just throw a bunch of information at you. They actually give you the tools and strategies to use it. Like, take their interview prep, for example.
You mean with those like 120,000
That's
questions?
those, but they're not just random questions, you know what I mean?
Mm.
They're categorized by industry, experience level, even specific companies.
So it's like targeted prep for whatever interview you're going on.
Exactly. They've analyzed tons of interviews to figure out the most common themes and questions. Talk about a leg up.
Okay, even I have to admit, that's pretty cool. I might actually feel prepared for an interview for once.
Right. It's a game changer. And the AI feedback just takes it to a whole other level.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that. How does that work again?
So imagine you answer a practice question, right? And the AI analyzes it, gives you personalized feedback, points out areas you can improve on. It even looks at your tone and body language.
Whoa, no way. That's like having a personal coach analyzing your every move.
Right. It's amazing. And it tackles that fear of the unknown that a lot of people have with interviews. You're not just memorizing answers, you're building real confidence.
That's a good point. It's more about building skills than just like acing one interview.
Exactly.
But before we get too deep into interview land, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about using technology to your advantage in the job market. We talked about the AI interview stuff, but are there other ways RoleCatcher helps with that?
Totally. One thing they stress is how important it is to really understand how those AI recruiters work. Remember we were talking about tailoring your CV?
With the keywords and everything.
Yeah. Well, they actually break down the algorithms these recruiters use, show you which keywords matter, formatting tricks, even how to boost your online presence.
So you're not just guessing, you're playing the game strategically.
Exactly. They demystify the whole thing. And honestly, I think that's really valuable no matter what job you're looking for.
I totally agree. It shows how much the world of work has changed, even for a job that seems, pretty hands-on, like
Yeah.
being a computer software and multimedia shop manager. You've got to be tech savvy too.
Absolutely. It highlights how technology is impacting every job these days. And it really emphasizes that need for continuous learning, which is something RoleCatcher talks about a lot.
It's true. No matter what you do, you've always got to be learning and adapting.
100%.
Speaking of adapting, let's talk about that career path again. I'm curious about the people who do make it to that senior shop manager level. What does the guide say about the long-term prospects for that role?
Now, that's a really good question. And it made me think about this larger trend I'm seeing across so many industries, this rising value of specialized knowledge.
So as tech gets more and more complicated, the demand for experts goes up too.
Yep, exactly that. And in the tech world, that expertise is gold. Businesses rely on really complicated software and systems, and then you've got customers bombarded with all these new gadgets. They need someone to guide them through it all.
It's like less salesperson, more trusted advisor.
Exactly, someone who they can rely on. And that means greater job security, better earning potential, even the chance to really shape the industry.
So it's not just about moving up in one company. It could be branching out, becoming a consultant, even starting your own thing.
Exactly. Tons of possibilities. And that's what's so cool about this deep dive.
Okay.
We started with this one specific job, but we're uncovering these broader lessons that apply to everyone.
It's like the more you learn about one thing, the more you realize how much you don't know about everything else.
Totally. This deep dive has definitely made me think about the skills we need to stay ahead of the curve.
Me too. It's all about adapting and learning new things no matter what your job is. It really makes you think, doesn't it? We went from this one very specific job to like these bigger ideas about work and technology.
It's proof that sometimes the most interesting journeys start in the most unexpected places.
Totally. And for me, the biggest takeaway is that a lot of the skills that make a great computer software and multimedia shop manager, like being adaptable, customer focused, always learning new stuff, those aren't just for tech people.
Right. Those are valuable in any career, especially these days.
Exactly. It's like the more things change, the more those core skills matter no matter what you do.
Absolutely. And you can tell RoleCatcher really gets that.
What do you mean?
Well, they don't just focus on the individual stuff,
Mhm.
like how to nail an interview or write a killer CV. They also give you this broader context.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Well, they talk about the job market as a whole, how technology is changing things, why it's so important to keep learning new skills.
So it's not just about winning one job, it's about building a career.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And having the tools and knowledge to navigate whatever comes next.
Which I think is something our listener can really appreciate. I mean, anyone who listens to the show is already thinking about those things, wanting to grow.
Absolutely. This deep dive has been so much more than just this one job title. It's been about these universal truths about work. And honestly, I think that's pretty powerful.
I completely agree. So, as we wrap things up here, I want to leave everyone with this thought. What's one small thing you can do today to level up your own career? Maybe it's reaching out to someone you admire, learning a new skill, or even just spending a few minutes thinking about your strengths and weaknesses. Because sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest steps. And on that note, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you on our next adventure into the world of work.